Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to INFOWARS Nightly News on this May 10, 2012 edition. Coming up on the show tonight.
Tonight, justice will be served. Fullerton police beat Kelly Thomas to death. And now, possible charges against third officer. Alex Jones reports. Then, conflict in Syria escalates as more bombs tear through Damascus. Plus, the exclusive premiere of a new powerful documentary released by INFOWARS investigative journalist Patrick Henningsen. Open Borders, special report, Fast and Furious. Premieres tonight in its entirety, only on the INFOWARS Nightly News.
Okay, now we're going to go to a special report by Alex Jones regarding the epidemic of police brutality in America, with specific reference to the Kelly Thomas beating and the latest developments in that case. Let's go to this video.
Well, hey, I'm sick of playing games. Which one is it? Would you just put your hands? All right, get on the ground now. Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
A year ago, INFOWARS.com reported on the brutal beating, torture death of 37-year-old Kelly Thomas, born the same year I was. This is him before. By the way, his father's a retired police officer. He says he's ashamed of what police have turned into in this country. And here he is after. And he didn't resist anything. It was all on video from the police surveillance system. They beat him to death over 9 minutes.
Dude, please, please, take the guy, dude. I'm sorry. Face down. Oh, face down. Okay.
A few days ago, they released the video, and we posted it on INFOWARS.com. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't go watch it. There's so much police brutality, tasering, murder, death. And let me tell you something, folks. I could barely watch this. The cops are getting off on it. They play the game of saying, don't move, while I'm going to taser you in the belly.
Okay. Yeah, dude. Yeah, just come.
Sorry.
Please,
come on.
Please don't, dude. Please.
It's just like you'd imagine Jeffrey Dahmer while he was torturing people, and they just keep tasering and tasering.
Oh! Oh! Oh!
You see, they've upped the power of tasers. They know that in the internal literature, all these systems are called less lethal. So they just train the public that they're basically able to torture us and then even kill us. It's all pain compliance. And they're training police and all this and just normalizing it. This is what they're going to turn loose on everybody. And they're trying to get all the cops to become these demon creatures. And it is really disgusting. And the culture of just worshiping police no matter what is what has allowed this. Now, they're charging one cop with second-degree murder, another with manslaughter. No, folks, this is torture. And probably the only reason these guys are even getting charged is that the guy's dad is a retired, well-known police officer in the area and spoke out. And they're like, well, since your son was a son of a god, an upper-class, minion of the New World Order, we're going to do something about it. Now, more cars arrive, and it's just the beating with the batons. Well, you saw the damage, just the enjoyment, the piranha, or really what I'd call orgy-type feeding frenzy of the sharks. It's pretty bad. Now, the begging for daddy's coming up.
Help us! He's on something. Here, I got this hand. I know. Help me! Help me! Help me, Dad! Help me! Here. Bravo.
And then he begins sobbing like a child for daddy. That's what people do generally before they pass out and well, then later die. And the police are really enjoying it and getting off on it. I've seen footage and videos, it's in my film Martial Law, where they're breaking pro-lifers' arms. So there's the face of the New World Order. And they killed this guy. And then after they've pretty much killed him, you know, he died later at the hospital. When he's laying there, there's blood pouring out in all directions. They all basically act like they want to have a cigarette, like they just had sex or something. I mean, there's a real satisfaction, congratulating each other coming up. So, you know, they've gone out and bagged a trophy. A homeless guy hadn't done anything wrong, who, by the way, was mentally ill. And they reportedly said he was schizophrenic. That's why he was on the streets. And there's just a lot of begging for daddy here, and that really gets them excited. And you can turn the audio up and hear like the little grunts and satisfactions, and the cops are all having adrenaline and getting up and walking around in circles. I mean, this was a fun kill right here. This felt really good. And this is what all tyranny set up.
How do you want to pull this down? So he's got together already in the front? He's got him in the front. Okay. That's the best way I can do it.
Because of the fight.
Okay, wait, I don't want to take those off.
He's still gonna fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's so fine, dude.
Relax. Relax. Relax.
Okay.
What's this guy's name?
That around to us.
You don't even know. We're trying to get it. Should we need to pull him up? Relax. Relax. Oh, we pull this legs up. Wait, you want to do that?
Sure.
Hold up and relax. Pull up. Give it. Okay, just going to sleep. He's still fighting. Okay. Please put him in the front, though. Can you hook that right here in the front?
Yeah, let me get some gloves out and I'll get you.
The chain's right there. All right. That's him right there.
1897.
Which way did you wrap these? Relax.
You know, my grandfather worked in less lethal weapons development. Developed a taser robot, a remote control system, sold to the Pentagon. They never mass developed it, but they were told to call it non-lethal. And this was back in the 60s. But they know they're lethal. And that's what it's all about. They just train us with rubber bullets and all the rest of it and kill people all the time. They're just getting everybody ready for it. And then you talk back, they use it on you. And it's all about all these people that crave authority getting into these positions. And again, the begging for daddy just goes on and on. This made me sick watching it. But you know, for him, he got to die quickly, though. Not like all these kids that, you know, the formula is more than half corn syrup and the diabetes exploding or the cancer viruses and the vaccines or the way the globalists kill us. Because, see, these guys like to kill people there on the ground. The Rockefellers and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they like to do it real slow through soft kill. And you know all these cops are taking soft kill. See, there's bigger, badder demons than you boys up above you. And it's all about their force continuum. Well, he didn't comply properly. They gave him an order to put, you know, hands on his head, hands on his knees. He said, which one? The guy said, that's it. You see my fist? I'm going to F you up. Get on the ground. He gets on the ground, and the murdering starts. Ha, ha, yeah. Oh, it's so good to be a psychopath in America and get to torture people to death. Just like Abu Ghraib, the Army's own reports, where they rape children in front of their parents. And people have been defending that. Well, not me. I don't want any part of it, any part of your demonic New World Order, or fetal parts, fetal tissue in the Pepsi, or the cosmetics. I don't want any part of it. All right, America, you want evil? You're going to be judged by it. To be quite honest, I can't even watch the entire thing. I've watched pieces of it. I watched about 90% of it. It is unbelievable. We'll post this video and the full video up at INFOWARS.com. But I guess we need to start watching more of this, because this was out like 4 or 5 days ago, and I just couldn't look at it. But I made myself this morning, and it shook me to my core. Alex Jones signing off for INFOWARS.com.
Huh? See his head.
Right, dude? Yeah, you saw it? Yeah, you were him.
I think it's him, because we ran out of options, so I got the end of my taser, and I just smashed his face in the alley. He was on something. There's three of us. Couldn't even control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. On my elbow, yeah. That just...
There were 6 guys on something that like called us to fight him. He's the one that you're going to need to look at.
You heard it all?
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The epidemic of police brutality continues apace. Basically, I know that at every major summit now, in whatever country you go to, there's police brutality. But just in terms of routine, day-to-day thuggery, it seems that America takes the biscuit over every other country. I mean, police in Britain and Western countries, of course, there's a lot of corruption and false arrests. But just the brutal beatdowns and unrepentant thuggery, as you saw there with that example of Kelly Thomas. There's a story from the US about it almost every day, and we know why it is. Partly because basically the police in America are being trained that the population is the enemy, not just the criminals now, but because everybody is guilty until proven innocent, the view has shifted. Whereas now they treat us all as potential enemies, specifically in America. That's why we're seeing such an epidemic of police abuse. And I just find it interesting. I mean, you know, where's Amnesty International? Where's Human Rights Watch? These organizations will tell you all day about minorities being persecuted in foreign countries, but I haven't seen them address once the epidemic of police brutality within America itself. So, I mean, we need to acknowledge that this is a major problem and that it's, you know, it's most rife in America, but these top human rights organizations just really don't have a lot to say about it. Moving on to our next story on InfoWars Nightly News. Syria conflict, Damascus bomb increases pressure on UN. This is out of BBC News. The bombings that tore through Damascus on Thursday morning were the 6th terrorist attack to have struck the city since December. And basically, you've got 55 dead. This is the worst act of violence since the tensions in Syria began. And who's behind it? Well, it's the same al-Qaeda terrorists that helped NATO overthrow Gaddafi in Libya. They now fly the al-Qaeda flag over Syria. This is the very same al-Qaeda terrorists that Hillary Clinton says are on the same side as the United States and the NATO powers in Syria. So while we're being propagandized, you know, about Al-Qaeda underwear bombers, the terrifying deadly plot, which turns out to be the work of a CIA informant, the real Al-Qaeda is doing NATO's dirty work in